what school you went to, what town you grew up in, your opinion of what a school counselor does can be very, very, very different. And that's something I would help clear up a little bit. It began as vocational guidance in the early 1900s with someone named Frank Parsons in Boston, who was trying to get people on the right track to careers, find out what it is that they want to do. Many, 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 many years ago, people went into jobs because that's what was available or that's what someone in their family did. But what Frank Parsons started to say is, hey, let's start looking at your interests and your aptitudes and what it is that you want to do, and let's try and connect you to the right thing. That was revolutionary at that time. A position as the counselor could have been anyone. For example, my high school counselor was a baseball coach, he was a part-time history teacher, and he was a part-time counselor. So it was just a person in the position. They didn't have any of the training. It was just a list of duties, was someone who could have filled it up. In 1920s, had the mental hygiene movement. Every person who's ever been in any kind of counseling program knows who Karl Rogers is. Karl Rogers is the one who started saying, let's talk to people like people and not talk to them like patients. In the 30s, a generation of pupil services started. Again, it wasn't a person in a position, it was services. It really started to become something after the American School Counselor Association was formed in 1952. Because before that, and even when I started 11 and 18 years ago, there was a tremendous amount of role confusion. Well, a math teacher thinks that I'm supposed to be the disciplinarian, so they send a student to me who's in trouble. Well, that's not the role of a school counselor. Someone else sends a student to me because they're upset because things happened at home or this, that, and the other. Well, that's the role of a school counselor. Principal has me over in their office and says, I have 42 test books that need to get out to these students. You need to administer these tests. That's not the role of a school counselor. But everyone has a different opinion about, and within counselors, within counselor groups also. So there was a lot of role confusion. When I first started, I was part of that role confusion. I know I wanted to work with students. I know what I was supposed to be doing, but there was no backup. But that's when the 2003, the ASCA, American School Counselor Association, came out with a national model. And for me, that was groundbreaking because it finally said, hey, this is what your position is. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Some of it was very ideal, but yet there was something. Because before that, we had nothing. And we moved on to the area, included that with accountability. Does anyone here have a good guess? I have no prize to get, but I'll be eternally grateful. Can you guess the first high school in Pennsylvania to earn the American School Counselor Association recognized ASCA model program? Can you guess? Yes, it was. Thank you very much. Yes, it was. We were the first school in Pennsylvania to receive ramp status. What does that mean? It means that we were following the ASCA national model. Now, this was about 12 years ago that we had earned this. And I'm a coach, and although I'm idealistic and hopefully I'm creative, I'm also the kind of person that says, okay, what have you done for me lately? Because that's how the world is. So, Karl, what have you done since RAMP? Well, we had a great program. I think over the years some things have changed, and I'm going to get to that in a moment because I think we have some really good news that really helps me and everyone in the business. Things have changed dramatically. The development of the school counselor profession, it's no longer guidance counselor, it's school counselor. Well, Karl, is it a big deal really to say guidance counselor? It depends on who you talk to. I'm not real sensitive about it. But it's different. It's not 1940. Students aren't coming to me to say, I lost my cat, I'm really upset. Like, okay, Jimmy, shucks, gee whiz. Let's get you a lollipop or something. It doesn't go like that. Things are dramatically different. Are there some things like that happen? Sure. There's breakups, there's teenagers. I know when spring starts, not because of my allergies, but because of either the new dating scenes or the ones that broke up. So I know what's happening. I don't even have to go outside. They just bring it to me. It's a dramatically different role. There is the breakdown of the family unit over how many years has caused a lot of mental health issues that we have to deal with. And it's not that we're sitting there doing long-term counseling with people. You make the initial appointment with them, you get them referrals, you get them on the right track, and you support them through the process. Where it used to be reactive, where you waited for things to happen. It's not, it's proactive. You go out and make yourself visible. Counselors used to be the kind of person very often that were nice people, but it's not exactly who you wanted if there was trouble. Like, you were going to call somebody if you needed a shoulder cry on, but if you needed someone to run a program, that's not who you're looking for. That's changed dramatically too. Counselors cannot sit back and just talk to one student at a time. That is a part of what they do, but it also has to be, you're getting out and advocating for all students. You have to be a leader. You can't be afraid to do some public speaking, even though it scares you to death. You have to get out there and do that. Individual efforts are data-based programs. It's no longer good enough to just say, hey, I gave you a good effort. No, we don't care about good efforts. What we want to know is, did your effort have a positive effect on the students? It's data-driven. It's data-informed. And how are your students different because of the program? Karl, that's all very nice, but I pay taxes, and I want more people coming to my place of employment who have some skills. Where are my tax dollars going? How are kids being trained in such a way that's helping my business? And why are so many students performing a 4-year degree and not looking at technical degrees when those jobs out there are so plentiful? Also understand, I am the product of a small business. My grandfather started a trucking business in Trenton, New Jersey. My dad was one of 6. 2 of his brothers carried on the business, and now 2 of my brothers. So the business is a small family business like a trucking in Trenton, New Jersey for the last 82 years now. My wife is also from a small business, Peter's Brothers Meat Market in Berks County. So I get the idea of small business. I know what that's about, to see the frustrations and the greatness, but the hours you put in for the work and everything. Okay, so Karl, so all that stuff happened. How has it changed? I want to show you this video. Has anyone seen this yet? Success in a New Economy? Okay, I'm going to show you this video. This is something that we viewed with all of our students at Lebanon High School, along with many of our other programs. I'm going to show this to you. It's only 9 minutes.
Education is core to our economy. In order to guide our educational systems and maximize future income, we must understand the misalignment between education and our workforce. In my pursuit of higher education, I have earned 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, and I'm working on a PhD. In total, this has cost me over $150,000. I've done all this because I believe formal education is important. Part of this belief came from seeing charts like this, presenting a correlation between higher degrees and higher income, showing on average that a person with a college degree earns far more money than the average person without a high school diploma. This perceived higher earnings for having a 4-year degree has fueled a college for all philosophy, causing educators and parents to encourage going to the university, any university, to major in anything in pursuit of future job security, social mobility, and financial prosperity. This philosophy has increased college enrollment, resulting in 66% of high school graduates in this country enrolling in higher education right after high school. That's 2 out of 3. Initially, they are deemed the successful ones. But what you won't see advertised is the reality that most drop out, and only a quarter of those that enroll will finish a bachelor's degree. Only after these few graduate do many of them start exploring careers. It is here that they discover that their degree may not have prepared them for the world of work. You may be well educated, but not every degree is direct preparation for employment. This misalignment between degrees and job skills causes half of university graduates to be underemployed in what are called gray-collar jobs, taking positions that do not require the education they have received at a cost that is more than they can afford. Conventional wisdom suggests that a university degree guarantees a higher salary. But with rising education costs, a shrinking job market, and the oversaturation of some academic majors in the workforce, this old advice is now a myth for a majority of students. The economy and the world have dramatically changed. Over the last 3 generations, we've gone from 13% of the population stepping into a college classroom to 60% attending some form of higher education. In 1960, when taking into account all jobs in the American economy, 20% required a 4-year degree or higher, 20% were technical jobs requiring skilled training, and 60% were classified as unskilled. But what's the right percentage to meet the labor market demand for tomorrow? In 2018, Harvard University predicts only 33% of all jobs will require a 4-year degree or more, while the overwhelming majority will be middle-skilled jobs, requiring technical skills and training at the credential or associate degree level. A 4-year degree may have many benefits, but think about the people you know who, from an economic perspective, inefficiently spend time and money to get a degree that perhaps they didn't really need for the career they are in. The true ratio of jobs in our economy is 1 to 7. For every occupation that requires a master's degree or more, 2 professional jobs require a university degree, and there are over half a dozen jobs requiring a 1-year certificate or 2-year degree. And each of these technicians are in very high-skilled areas that are in great demand. This ratio is fundamental to all industries. It was the same in 1950, the same in 1990, and will be the same in 2030. The hope for encouraging university education is that as the number of university-trained workers increases, the demand for their services in the workplace will increase as well. Unfortunately, this is not so. The whole pie may get bigger as the labor force and the economy grows, but the ratio will not change. The reality is, there will not be more professional jobs available within the labor market, and some professional jobs have been replaced by technology, or are being outsourced. Well-intentioned attempts to send more and more students straight to the university will not change the types of jobs that dominate our economy, nor will a college-for-all mentality mask these labor market realities. The college-for-all rhetoric that has been so much a part of the current education reform movement is often interpreted as university-for-all. This message needs to be significantly broadened to a post-high school credential-for-all. Students at various educational levels have left school without employable skills, setting up our children for failure, costing them and taxpayers millions. All while the labor market is desperate for highly trained, skilled technicians. So how do you position yourself for high-wage, in-demand jobs? Let's say you were considering a career as either an electrician or a business manager. You would find that the average annual income for electricians is $51,000. Only about half of the $105,000 average wage for management occupations. So at first glance, it looks as if getting a bachelor's degree in business is a no-brainer. But adding skills and ability into the picture adds a whole new dynamic. What if you have the potential to become an excellent electrician, but lack the skills and ability to be an excellent manager? Then you should be looking at projected incomes towards the bottom of the pay scale for managers and towards the top for electricians. You would then discover that electricians near the top of the pay scale make around $86,000, far higher than the income of a manager near the bottom of the pay scale at $52,000. Now this is just one example, but the concept is true throughout all industries. The claim that you will make more money with an increased amount of education is not necessarily inaccurate, it's just incomplete. That advice is based just on the averages, but no one is perfectly average. Everyone has unique skills, talents, and interests. In fact, the income for the top individuals in a wide variety of skilled jobs that require an industry credential or 2-year degree is far higher than the average income for many occupations that require a 4-year degree. Nationally, associate degree earners range between $27,000 and $68,000, while bachelor's recipients earn between $34,000 and $97,000. But this data only accounts for the 25th to the 75th percentile of full-time adult workers. This means that 25% of associate degree holders earn more than $68,000 annually, and 25% of bachelor's degree holders earn less than $34,000. Our world has changed, and in this new economy, the university degree is no longer the guaranteed path towards financial success as it was for previous generations. And even if you do earn one, that education alone may not be enough. In today's highly technical, knowledge-based economy, having hands-on skills and perfecting what you're good at can be more valuable than getting a degree in something simply to get one. Employers want to know what you can do and what you can do well, not just what degree hangs on your wall. Since new and emerging occupations in every industry now require a combination of academic knowledge and technical ability, we need to ensure that we're also guiding students towards careers and not just to the university. So before enrolling in classes or deciding what you're going to do next in your life, step 1 is self-exploration. In addition to your interests, really analyze your talents and strengths. Step 2 is career exploration. Understand the jobs available, the income ranges they pay, and evaluate the skills they require. Identifying an area that appeals to your interests, skills, and the labor market may be your first career. And then you can develop a tentative career plan, complete with multiple training and education options. The key is to align your interests and abilities with your first career choice and the education and training you'll need to receive. This alignment will help bring your future into focus and ensure your position at the top of the pay scale in your chosen career. What all this data shows is that success in the new economy is as much about acquiring the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed for in-demand occupations as it is to be well educated. Both paths may work for you, but education combined with technical training is how you ultimately secure a competitive advantage in the new economy. Community colleges are in an ideal position to provide over 70% of tomorrow's workforce with an education combined with applied technical skills, industry-driven credentials, and specific preparation for employment. Being a skilled craftsman or technician is highly valued. Investments in career education programs in high schools and community colleges will help all students obtain an education which includes technical training and preparation for the workplace. Ultimately, this is how all students can be successful. In the new economy, both education and technical skills are the new currency. Will you be ready?
Okay, so that was a video we showed as part of our final reflection program for all of our students at Lebanon High School. If we know all this, why are sometimes things the same? And here's the problem. We have this information. I'm going to toot our horn at Lebanon because we're good, and I love Lebanon, and I've been there for 18 years, so I have a lot of pride in what we do. We've been preaching this message since I've been here. I read a book about 15 years ago by Ken Gray, Other Ways to Win. It talked about a four-year degree is not the only way to success. But yet, too many people have the perception that that is what you have to do. And as you see here, if people in manufacturing, you know this. You try to get skilled people in there, but you can't because they're not going in. They're going into other fields. They're going to four-year colleges and they're not finishing the college. They're in a massive amount of debt that they can't come out and get the job, and they're pursuing it for the wrong reason. Schools have different costs per student. We know all that. School funding is a constant topic of debate. We have barriers, testing. But the biggest barrier, I haven't found it at Lebanon, but I know colleagues at different schools have that barrier. I can talk to students at Lebanon High School, and when I say college, we've recaptured the word. College means 2-year school, 4-year school, technical school, any kind of training after. That's what college means to us. And I constantly tell kids that, because when I would say college before, some kids over here, well, I'm not going to college. Well, what are you doing? Well, I'm looking at Berks Tech. Well, that is college. Well, Mr. Liedtka, I'm looking at the Army. Well, I know it's not exactly college, but it sure as heck is a lot of training, so you're back in the conversation, okay? No one's kept out of this conversation. We have our Career Technology Center. I don't know if you guys have been over there, but they do amazing things over there. And we have a lot of students taking advantage of their great programs. They can walk out of there with employability skills and to be hired soon. I mean, right out of school. If a student's an A student, graduating from any high school in this county, and they're an A student, that's nice, but what skills do they have? They can read and they can write, and I'm sure they're very nice and polite, but what skill do they have that you're willing to pay for? Well, this is what Chapter 339 is. Finally, get to the point, Karl. Chapter 339 says from the state is that, one of the first times I read a mandate from the state that I'm excited about, it says that all schools K through 12 must have a comprehensive career development program. And I've been saying this for years. It was part of the ASCA model, so I'm fired up. I was mad at the meeting. I'm like, yeah, no kidding, I didn't say that, but I was mad. But then after I calmed down, I'm like, Karl, why are you mad? They're saying the same stuff you've been saying for a long time. Here's what the difference is. I am in a district that I'm supported. I and our counselors are supported. But because of 339, now we have time to meet to develop our plan. This has been, you may be thinking, well, what's so difficult about meeting? Like, we do it all the time. I mean, no, it doesn't happen that way in schools, especially in elementary schools. They're the only counselor there. There's textbooks, there's melted crayons, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. But now, because of Chapter 339, it puts in place, hey schools, you have to have this program done. It has been revolutionary for me this year at Lebanon High School to do a lot of the things that we've been able to do. And I just want to tell you about some of the things that highlight the first thing we did that some of you were involved in. We had a mock interview program. We had an interview lesson the day before. The kids learned all about different interviews and how to do it, and they practiced interviews. The next day, we had several people come in through the community, and they rotated to different rooms and did interviews with the students. That's exactly one of the things we're talking about. Handshake lessons. We do, it's called a blitz lesson, because it only takes about 10 minutes. but we go in and teach kids how to shake hands. You would be amazed at the number of kids that don't know how to shake hands correctly. They'll come in to shake your hand, and they know you well, so like Mr. Liedtka, they're giving like a cool guy shake. It's not like, it's like, hey, Mr. Liedtka, how you doing, man? Like doing this. I'm like, no, that's all good, but this is a formal one, okay? We got to teach you a formal handshake. Every student in school did a career cluster finder. Clusters are, you organize careers by certain characteristics. So everyone did that. They all did a Holland self-directed search. They're learning about a resume and how to build a resume, mock interviews, college search, which includes 2-year, 4-year technical schools. I've been taking kids, a bus of students down to Thaddeus Stevens College for the last 12 years. We've had at least 3 kids for the last 10 years go to Stevens College. As far as a technical area, there's not a better place to go, because if you qualify for a Pell Grant, you go for free. And Stevens is, I mean, kids walk out of there with 6 or 7 job offers. It's crazy. The IU13, work with Brendan Morales, helping students get job skills. The ASVAB testing that we do. Now, this is just a very small part of it. This is not talking about all the career stuff that's going on at the middle school, our career fairs at the elementary level, the speakers that they have come in. So Chapter 339 for us has been a blessing, because it says you have to do this. So now when I call a meeting of all the counselors, and I can send a reminder to the principals, hey principals, your counselors need to be at this meeting because this is a state mandated thing. I'm sorry, I hate to do that and pull the state card, but here we are. We actually get our meeting, get our stuff together. So how can business help us with all this? There's a packet up here, career shadowing. So we put this together for a student who wants to go out and learn what it is that you do for a day. There are guidelines for you and for them are right in here. If a student is involved in a community-based education program where it's a longer type experience, for us we have trimester schedules, so you might have someone with you for 12 weeks. I know how difficult it can be to have an intern. If they're great, that's great. If they're not so good, that causes more work for you. But you're only having for 12 weeks because we have a trimester system. And this is the packet here that we've developed to help the students through the trimester system, to help them through the internship process, and to help the business owner, the mentor, through the process. Also, we have our employment readiness certificate. Students have to meet certain behavioral and attendance and grades to have the gold or platinum level. So that if a student walks to you and says, hey, I earned this certificate, this is one of the certificates, this is the preferred here, but the student walks in and says, hey, I have a platinum level certificate from Lebanon High School for employment readiness, you know that they have 95% attendance, they've had no behavioral issues at school, and you know they have good grades. Well, that's nice. You have it right there in front of you, in addition to getting recommendations and so on and so forth. And the last thing I have up for you here is a copy of our CEDAR Guide. CEDAR Guide is something we put together, and it says right on there, Post-Secondary Education Planning Guide. It's a guide for students to help them through this process of trying to find out what it is they want to do when they graduate high school. A lesson I do with every student is, find what you love to do, you never work a day in your life. That's my hope for you. Find what it is that you're passionate about, find that, pursue it, and never work a day in your life. It's going to feel that. No, I break it to them. I said, not every day is going to be great. Some things you aren't going to like. I have to break it to them slowly because they're young. But they get the idea. Find what it is that you love to do, and find out how you can make that a career. And that's one of the most important things. I don't talk to them about money. I don't talk about fame and fortune, about the things that the world talks to them about, that supposedly those things are important. But these 3 resources are up here. And also I left my email, and there's a wiki page address up here for the video and also the documents I left here for you.
Thank you, Karl. We give a hand to Karl. More about what the work of school counselors is, Karl, and we all appreciate the tremendous